Many of us observe how our skin changes over the years by looking at it from a distance. However, we mistakenly believe that the real change, and especially the transformation, occurs deep within our cells. In fact, we don't pay enough attention to how important the biological practices we repeat regularly and diligently every day really are. Of course, I would also like to mention a more interesting fact. Some women, especially those over the age of 50, continue to look much more radiant, much brighter, and generally more vibrant, that is, younger, as the years go by. It is definitely not correct to think of this phenomenon as a miracle or a gift bestowed upon them, because this is actually the result of certain practices that these individuals have undergone to systematically renew their bodies and skin, practices that have even been scientifically proven. In fact, the purpose of this video is to reveal, step by step, this little-known system behind youth, so that we can have a younger and brighter skin and a more radiant expression. This way, you will easily see how you can rediscover your body's capacity for youth, or rather, its potential. Rest assured that this journey we are about to embark on will be a journey of discovery, revealing the great changes brought about not by our age, but by our own choices. 1. The surprising and perfectly harmonious relationship between sleep depth and the youth hormone. The most important and critical biological processes our body undergoes, which I can describe as a window of renewal, are undoubtedly the deep sleep we need every night. Think of it this way. It is also a period when the hormone that regulates our youthful appearance, especially in women over 50, works very quietly but just as effectively. Of course, deep sleep is also the phase when our skin's collagen production occurs, when repairs that enable our cells to regenerate are managed, and when growth hormone is secreted. The better the quality of our deep sleep, the more efficiently the hormonal systems I mentioned earlier will work, yielding much more effective results. As you know, as the years pass and we age, the secretion levels of the hormone I mentioned decrease significantly. However, when it increases, your decreasing hormone secretion levels begin to have less of an effect than before, and this does not give our skin and face positive results, meaning we do not achieve a brighter appearance. Throughout the day, especially in today's modern world, we can find the opportunity to clear away all the stress, tension, and negative thoughts that weigh on us during this deep sleep. In addition, as you might expect, when cortisol is suppressed, our youth hormone can come into play much more easily and do its job. Essentially, the perfect balance between these two hormones reveals the invisible construction of our skin's aging. To give an example, when our skin loses its maximum appearance, that is, when it loses its elasticity, you can be sure that the cortisol level is quite high. Similarly, when our skin's cell renewal accelerates and our facial features appear much fuller, you can be sure that the youth hormone is working at full capacity. For these reasons, improving our sleep quality essentially becomes a very serious biological reference point for looking young. In addition, I can also tell you that deep sleep is a period when collagen fibers are particularly reorganized. Unfortunately, our collagen structures are damaged due to the effects of the sun throughout the day, the stress we experience, or things like unnecessary facial expressions. And as I said, this damage can only be repaired during the deep sleep phase, and as a result of this process, we can easily see that our facial features become much tighter and the visibility of our fine lines is significantly reduced. So, as you can see, sometimes looking young is simply a matter of having the right and high-quality sleep system. The level of inflammation in our bodies also decreases during deep sleep, causing our aging rate to slow down significantly. I can say that inflammation is one of the most effective internal factors that makes wrinkles on our skin much deeper and unfortunately makes our skin tone uneven. Of course, during the deep quality sleep we get, our immune system naturally works much more efficiently, and as a result, our damaged cells are more easily cleared away. This also significantly increases the production of new cells. This, in turn, leads to women having a more vibrant and radiant complexion and appearance over time, regardless of their age. By the way, friends, unfortunately, only 1 in every 5 people who watch my videos subscribes, which of course upsets me greatly. So, if you want to change this situation, click on the bottom right corner of the screen. You'll be doing me a huge favor, and we won't lose touch with each other. With that said, I'll continue with the second point. 2. The crucial role of blood sugar balance in looking young. If you were to ask me what the most invisible yet highly effective biological indicator is for determining the rate of skin aging, I would undoubtedly say blood sugar balance. Because, as you know, in women over 50, glucose fluctuations unfortunately directly and clearly affect collagen and especially elastin fibers. And of course, this plays a very important role in the background of our ability to look young. Let me put it this way. When our blood sugar rises, a process called glycation begins, and this process hardens collagen, thereby reducing its elasticity. Naturally, this loss of elasticity causes our skin to appear much older than it actually is. That's why you sometimes see it around you. One of the main reasons why some women look much more vibrant and youthful despite being the same age is their ability to clearly maintain this biological balance I'm talking about. Of course, the only effect of glycation on our skin is not wrinkles. It also causes our skin to become dull, leads to overall tone irregularities, and of course results in a pale, tired appearance on our facial features. This actually causes our energy levels to drop. Of course, if we consider a situation where our blood sugar is balanced, our cells will access energy in a much more consistent and efficient way, which greatly facilitates the renewal of our skin cells. Thus, let's not forget that our face looks much brighter, more radiant, and generally more rested. Looking at it from another angle, maintaining proper blood sugar balance is not just a matter of eating right. It also leads to our hormones working efficiently and harmoniously within the body. To give an example, when insulin levels rise too high, the mechanisms of other hormones like estrogen and cortisol are suddenly disrupted. Of course, this unfortunate situation leads to symptoms such as swelling, edema, and sagging in our skin. However, if we can keep our blood sugar at a more stable level, the mechanism of action with other hormones will also be much more harmonious, and the negative scenarios I mentioned earlier will be prevented. Finally, I can also say that because balanced blood sugar affects our mood, it actually creates a psychological mechanism that genuinely rejuvenates and improves our facial expression. 3. 6-minute daily technique to reduce inflammation in women over 50. Now, friends, I want to say this. Inflammation is one of the invisible but most effective accelerators of aging. Especially in women over 50, it leads to dull skin, facial puffiness, deepening wrinkles, and low energy. Naturally, our ability to manage inflammation on a daily basis emerges as one of the fundamental biological elements of a youthful appearance. Interestingly, there is no need for hours of intensive programs to reduce inflammation. Even a 6-minute technique, when applied correctly, can create visible improvement at the cellular level. In fact, there is also this reality. This short technique is based on activating the body's parasympathetic nervous system. That is, it puts the body into repair and calm mode. This is because one of the main reasons for increased inflammation is chronic stress. The stress hormone cortisol slows down the renewal of skin cells and weakens the regulatory mechanisms of the immune system. However, when the parasympathetic system kicks in, cortisol levels drop rapidly acting as an internal biological brake that suppresses inflammation. The 6-minute technique triggers precisely this biological brake. I would also like to mention that the scientific basis of the technique is related to breathing rhythm. Slow, controlled, deep breathing is one of the most powerful natural methods for stimulating the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve plays a central role in regulating inflammation. When activated, it triggers the body's anti-inflammatory mechanisms. Therefore, a few minutes of rhythmic breathing cycles create a relaxation that is immediately noticeable even in facial expressions. The slight puffiness under the eyes diminishes, facial muscles relax, and the skin takes on a calmer appearance. Ultimately, this 6-minute inflammation reduction technique increases mental clarity, which is directly reflected in facial expressions. When emotional stress decreases, facial muscles relax more naturally, making the eyes appear brighter and the smile more genuine. Looking young is not only possible through skin surface care. Mental calmness and physical harmony are also powerful biological factors that determine this appearance. Therefore, short techniques regularly applied to women over 50 become a powerful youth strategy that softens the facial lines that the years have slowly left behind. 4. Knowing how effective omega oils are in making skin look fuller. Essentially, I want to start by saying this. Omega oils, especially the balance of omega-3 and omega-6, are one of the most critical biological factors that determine the fullness, elasticity, and radiance of the skin in women over 50. Naturally, as we age, the elasticity of cell membranes decreases, leading to skin that appears thinner, more fragile, and duller. Omega oils, however, integrate into the cellular membrane structure, restoring this elasticity. This effect creates a plumper, softer, and younger appearance on the skin's surface. Therefore, omega oils are not just a nutrient, but a fundamental biological fuel that maintains the structural integrity of the skin. As many of us know, the power of these oils also comes from their ability to reduce inflammation. When inflammation increases, the subcutaneous tissues swell, collagen fibers break down more quickly, and a dull veil forms on the skin. Omega oils, especially EPA and DHA, support the production of molecules that regulate inflammation in the body. This makes the face appear calmer, smoother, and more balanced. The inner glow that appears on some women's faces after regular omega consumption is actually the natural result of this inflammation balancing. In addition, another important effect of omega oils is that they increase intracellular water retention. Water is the key determinant of skin plumpness. However, as we age, cells lose their ability to retain water. Omega oils make the cell membrane more permeable and flexible, allowing water to be retained better within the cell. This creates a more youthful contour, especially on the cheeks and around the mouth. The skin's firmer appearance is not merely an aesthetic effect, but a real structural improvement created by omega oils at the cellular level. I should also add that these oils indirectly support collagen synthesis. For collagen fibers to be produced and organized correctly, cell membranes must be healthy. Omega oils ensure collagen is more stable, stronger, and more durable thanks to this groundwork. This reduces the appearance of fine lines and gives the skin a firmer look. The slight tightening of facial features observed in many women over 50 after regular omega intake is precisely the manifestation of this biological mechanism. Let's also not forget that the effect of omega oils on the skin is not only physical, their role in hormonal balance is also very powerful. These oils help stabilize the changing hormone rhythms after menopause, especially in women. When hormones are balanced, the skin functions more calmly, oil production normalizes, and healthier tissue forms on the skin's surface. Therefore, omega oils create a soothing and healing holistic effect on both the skin and mind in mature women. 5. Blood flow that restores youthfulness to the eye area. As most of us might expect, the eye area is the part of the face that shows aging the fastest. This is because the skin here is very thin, the blood vessels are very superficial, and lymphatic circulation is quite slow. Naturally, for this reason, signs of fatigue, stress, lack of sleep and aging first appear around the eyes. When the right technique targeting blood flow is applied, this thinness around the eyes becomes an advantage, because when circulation improves, the area regains its radiance, color unevenness decreases, and the facial expression instantly begins to look younger. This blood flow hack is not just an aesthetic touch, but a biological rejuvenation tool. Essentially, this method is based on activating microcirculation around the eyes. Microcirculation refers to the speed at which capillaries transport oxygen and nutrients. As we age, this circulation slows down, causing dark circles, dullness, and a slight hollow appearance under the eyes. The combination of light pressure and temperature difference causes these capillaries to dilate, allowing more blood to flow to the area and rapidly rejuvenating the tissue. Even a few minutes of this technique can create an instant brightening effect under the eyes. I should also mention that when blood flow increases, cells are nourished with more oxygen. Oxygen is the most fundamental fuel for youthful skin, especially in thin tissues such as around the eyes. When oxygenation increases, cellular energy production rises, contributing to a more vibrant, brighter, and more luminous appearance in the area. The lightening of the dark circles around the eyes, known as the tired shadow, is also based on this mechanism. This is because the darkness is often due to low oxygen blood rather than pigment. When blood circulation is accelerated, this appearance is significantly reduced. The most effective part of this hack is definitely its ability to significantly accelerate lymphatic drainage. We know that the lymphatic system is a biological drainage network responsible for clearing excess fluids and toxins from the face. However, it slows down with age. This slowdown creates effects such as puffiness, bags, and loss of fullness around the eyes. The circulation technique, applied with light upward pressure, reduces puffiness and gives the eye area a firmer appearance by opening the lymphatic pathways. In other words, the feeling of heaviness in this sensitive area of the face is biologically alleviated. Of course, there is also this. The blood flow hack not only creates a physical rejuvenating effect, it also positively reflects on facial expressions. For example, when the eye area is relaxed, the person looks more alert, more attentive, and more lively. The stiffness that often appears in women's facial expressions after the age of 50 is frequently caused by tired eye areas. When this technique is applied regularly, facial expressions soften, and the gaze becomes more open and inviting. When the eye area rejuvenates, the entire facial expression changes, because the gaze is the strongest aesthetic signal of the face. Ultimately, the long-term effect of this hack is to support skin regeneration. Regular blood circulation paves the way for healthier collagen and elastin fibers. This gradually reduces the appearance of fine lines around the eyes. So the technique not only offers a quick beauty solution, it also acts as a biological investment that encourages the eye area to look younger every day. When some women say, "My eyes have changed after a few weeks," it is precisely the reflection of this regeneration process. 6. The benefits of pure water consumption for skin elasticity. The critical point here is that skin elasticity is one of the most fundamental biological indicators of a youthful appearance, because the cellular water balance must be at the right level for elastin and collagen fibers to function healthily. Of course, pure water consumption plays a vital role in maintaining this elasticity, especially in women over 50. As we age, the cell's capacity to retain water decreases, and the skin becomes thinner and more fragile. Pure water increases the permeability of the cell membrane, allowing water to be distributed more evenly throughout the tissues. This process contributes to a firmer, more vibrant and tighter appearance of the face. Looking at it from another angle, water consumption is not just about hydration. It is also a biological tool that regulates intracellular metabolism. When skin cells receive sufficient water, toxin elimination accelerates and inflammation decreases significantly. When inflammation decreases, collagen fibers suffer less damage and facial features appear more defined. Insufficient water consumption, on the other hand, creates cellular stress. This stress manifests itself in the skin as dullness, uneven tone, and loss of elasticity. Therefore, pure water clearly emerges as one of the most powerful natural supports for maintaining the integrity of the skin. There is also another fact. Another important effect of water on skin elasticity is the balancing of intracellular pressure. When cells contain sufficient water, the tissue appears plumper. This plumpness creates a youthful feeling, especially in the cheeks and around the mouth. As intracellular pressure decreases with age, the skin begins to look more sunken, tired, and lifeless. Pure water consumption rebalances this pressure, supporting the face's natural contours. Therefore, women who drink water regularly develop a natural, youthful effect based on biological balance rather than internal swelling. 7. Intracellular water distribution that evens out skin tone. How our cells distribute water is actually one of the most fundamental biological factors that creates our unique skin tone and even influences it to a large extent. I can comfortably say that as we age, especially when considering the years ahead, the permeability of our cell membranes naturally decreases significantly. Of course, this also makes it much more difficult for water to be distributed consistently and homogeneously within the cell. However, when water distribution is disrupted, certain areas of our face may appear much duller, more matte, and generally puffy. When the water balance within the cells is restored, our skin tone becomes more even and brighter. Of course, thanks to this systematic process, we can achieve a younger-looking face without necessarily needing high-tech products. Now, let me also point out that when water distribution is corrected, cells remove toxins more effectively. Toxin buildup causes skin discoloration, a grey undertone, a tired appearance, and localized darkening. The regular circulation of intracellular water prevents this accumulation, cleansing the skin from within. This contributes to brighter under-eye areas, the disappearance of dullness on the cheeks, and an overall improvement in the skin's color harmony. Therefore, cellular hydration is one of the most overlooked yet critical determinants of skin tone unevenness. Looking at it from another angle, one of the most important effects of intracellular water distribution is how the skin reflects light. The more hydrated the skin surface is, the more evenly it refracts light, creating a brighter, more vibrant appearance. As we age, light begins to scatter on the skin, making the face appear duller and more uneven. When regular water balance is maintained, light refracts properly again, giving the face a more glow effect. This effect is not a brightness that can be created with makeup. It is entirely a reflection of biological health. In essence, maintaining intracellular water balance also indirectly supports collagen production. When collagen fibers are surrounded by sufficient water, they become more flexible, more resilient, and more regularly structured. This both strengthens the overall firmness of the face and reduces the microscopic tissue damage underlying color unevenness. In other words, water not only corrects color, It also reorganizes the architecture of youth in the face. Therefore, proper water balance creates both a superficial and deep effect in evening out skin tone. Ultimately, intracellular water distribution not only creates a physical effect of youthfulness, it also softens facial expressions, because when water balance is disrupted, the skin appears tight, dry, and tired. However, skin with evenly distributed water is more elastic. Expressions appear more natural, and eyes appear more vibrant. This means that skin tone evenness creates not only color harmony, but also an overall perception of youthfulness. Thus, the face gains a calmer and brighter appearance without the need for technical aesthetic intervention. 8. Genetic and environmental factors and their interaction that determine the rate of aging in women. Modern biology today strongly challenges the idea that our rate of aging is solely determined by our genes. According to research conducted in many laboratories, only 20% or 25% of aging is related to genes. Rest assured that the remaining portion is entirely due to the environmental conditions we are exposed to, our quality of life, our habits, and how our hormone cycles are affected and shape us. This situation creates a significant advantage, especially for women over 50. This is because even if the genetic structure is fixed, any improvement made to environmental conditions can directly change the biological rate of aging. Therefore, the most important reason why some women appear younger, despite being the same age, is their ability to utilize the interaction between genetics and the environment to their advantage. Furthermore, genetic makeup provides a blueprint for how the skin will respond. However, how this blueprint is executed depends on the intensity of environmental stimuli. For example, some women are genetically predisposed to produce higher levels of collagen. However, poor nutrition, sun damage, or chronic stress can quickly negate this advantage. Similarly, even a woman with a genetically challenging skin type can significantly slow down the aging process with the right environmental adjustments. Thus, while genes provide a starting point, the real outcome is determined by micro-lifestyle decisions accumulated throughout life. Furthermore, the effect of environmental factors on aging occurs through a mechanism called epigenetics. Epigenetics is a biological switch that controls how genes are turned on and off. This switch is constantly influenced by sleep patterns, nutritional quality, stress levels, sun exposure, and hormonal changes. As women age, these epigenetic switches become more sensitive. That is, good habits provide benefits more quickly, while bad habits cause more noticeable harm. Therefore, every positive change made after the age of 50 essentially reprograms genetic potential. I should also add that hormonal fluctuations are an important component of the genetic environment interaction. The decline in estrogen levels after menopause reduces the skin's elasticity and moisture retention capacity. However, this biological process can be mitigated by environmental factors. For example, consuming high-quality fats, managing stress, and getting regular sleep balance, a significant portion of the physical effects created by hormones. Thus, this balance established between hormonal changes and environmental habits becomes one of the most powerful architects determining how aging manifests externally. In addition, the visible effect of the interaction between genetics and the environment manifests itself in the resilience of the skin barrier. Women with a genetically weak skin barrier can strengthen this barrier with the right care practices. Thus, the skin loses less water and appears brighter. Those with a genetically strong barrier, however, can lose this advantage to adverse environmental effects. In other words, what determines the rate of aging is not genetic advantage or disadvantage, but how that advantage is preserved and how disadvantages are managed. In this respect, every woman has the power to influence her own youth biology to a certain extent. 9. Light exposure, management to reduce wrinkle depth. Friends, I want to say this. Light exposure is one of the most invisible yet powerful determinants of skin aging. As we age, collagen structures in the skin weaken, and the way light interacts with the skin becomes more critical. Blue light, artificial light, and sunlight exposure throughout the day create cellular stress and trigger chain reactions that increase wrinkle depth. Properly managing light exposure is a scientific strategy that can reverse this process, because when used incorrectly, light ages the skin. When filtered correctly, it significantly slows collagen loss. In fact, there is also this reality. The effect of blue light on the skin was long associated only with eye health. However, modern dermatology has revealed that blue light produces free radicals that accelerate wrinkle formation in the skin. These radicals cause deformation of intracellular proteins. Computers, phones, and bright LED screens in particular deepen this effect in women over 50. Within the scope of light exposure management, reducing screen brightness, using a blue light filter, and gradually decreasing screen time in the evening are powerful practices that reduce wrinkle depth. I would also like to mention that sunlight is both the greatest benefit and the greatest risk. It is necessary for the body to produce vitamin D. However, UV rays damage collagen fibers and rapidly age the skin. UVA rays in particular penetrate deep into the skin and loosen elastin fibers. Therefore, it is necessary to control sun exposure rather than avoid it completely. Brief exposure in the early morning hours regulates hormones and provides the biological benefits of light without damaging the skin. This control is an important technique that prevents wrinkles from becoming more pronounced. Additionally, another important component of light exposure management is indoor lighting. Most women are unaware of how bright white light in the home affects their facial features. Naturally, this type of light makes the skin texture appear harsher than it is and can also disrupt the cell's nighttime repair cycle. Warmer, yellow-toned lights, on the other hand, create a softer optical effect on the skin and do not interfere with the natural rhythm of the melatonin hormone. This improves sleep quality and allows the skin to regenerate better throughout the night. In general, light management is not limited to external factors. How the skin reflects light also determines the appearance of wrinkles. When sufficient moisture and regular care are provided, the skin surface becomes smoother and refracts light more homogeneously. This reduces the shadow of wrinkles, creating a more youthful appearance. Conversely, lines appear more pronounced on dry skin where light is scattered. Therefore, light exposure management means not only protection, but also optimizing the skin's interaction with light. Ultimately, managing light exposure not only reduces wrinkle formation in the long term, but also visibly reduces wrinkle depth. This is because when photostress on the skin is reduced, collagen breakdown slows down, existing collagen fibers become more stable, and the elastin structure tightens. This biological protection is the fundamental mechanism that makes the face appear younger, softer, and more balanced. One reason some women look younger every year is that they unconsciously establish the right relationship with light. So rest assured that youthfulness often depends solely on how light is managed. 10. Achieving an energy posture that makes you look younger. Now, friends, here's the thing. The elements that make a woman look young are not just skincare, genetic advantages, or the right cosmetic routines. The energy posture carried by the body is also one of the most powerful aesthetic signals that determine appearance. Energy posture is a holistic biomechanical expression that extends from the body's posture to its breathing rhythm, from the shoulder line to the facial expression. When this expression is correct, the person not only looks more elegant, but also carries a younger, more vibrant, and more attractive aura. This is because body language is the most invisible but most effective determinant of age perception. Of course, as women age, some tend to develop slightly slumped shoulders, a tight neck area, and a narrowed rib cage. This poor posture not only makes one look older, it also reduces breathing capacity, decreasing the oxygen reaching the facial muscles. When oxygen decreases, the skin becomes dull, expressions harden, and facial features begin to look tired. When energy posture is corrected, all these effects automatically reverse. When the chest expands, breathing deepens, facial muscles relax, and the skin appears brighter. To say that the effect of energy posture on youthfulness is purely physical would be an understatement, because this posture also directly affects the nervous system. When posture is upright, the parasympathetic nervous system is more easily activated. This system is an internal regulator that softens the facial muscles and makes facial expressions appear more peaceful. Therefore, an upright, balanced, and open posture can instantly make the face appear several years younger. Many women notice that when they correct their posture, their eyes appear larger and their gaze more lively. This is the natural result of energy flowing more correctly through the body. Of course, there is also this. The effect of energy posture on youthfulness is most pronounced in the jawline and neck area. Poor posture creates stiffness in the neck muscles, and this stiffness reinforces the perception of sagging in the lower part of the face. However, a posture where the head is lifted upward, the neck is elongated, and the chin is slightly forward makes the contours of the face appear more defined. Let's not forget that this is the fastest mini facelift effect that can be achieved without aesthetic intervention. Therefore, energy posture provides a natural architectural support that rejuvenates the lower part of the face. Essentially, all the biological mechanisms I describe in these 10 points in this video reveal that our youthful appearance is never a coincidence. It also shows that we can trigger our body's remarkable self-renewal power in an astonishing way through conscious and consistent habits. All the points I mention, from deep sleep to inflammation control, water balance management to omega support, contribute to the formation of a multi-layered architecture of youth within our bodies. Some women who are well aware of this can look much younger every year, even after turning 50. As I said, there are no expensive interventions, creams, or cosmetic procedures behind this. They have the ability to use biology to their advantage in a logical and powerful way. Because let's not forget that even small changes, when applied correctly, can re-regulate the rhythm of our cells, making our facial features look much more vibrant and radiant, and in general, causing our life energy to increase in a visible way. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it and subscribe. Take care of yourself, and see you in the next video. Remember, women are the ones with the power to change the world. Boldly forge your own path and savor every moment.